there everybody, and welcome back to the Blossom Crochet channel. If this is your first time visiting, then just take a moment now to subscribe to the channel and click that little bell icon as well to keep up to date with all of my tutorials, because you'll get a notification whenever I upload a new one. So in this step-by-step tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful crochet stitch. So it's a really nice one for lightweight baby blankets and things, but obviously you can use it for anything you like, scarves or whatever as well. So it's a nice simple stitch once you get going. It's a 4-row repeat, and that is why I've classed this as a beginner / introduction to this method, because some can be 8, 10, 12 row repeats. So this is a 4-row repeat, and like I say, once you get going, it's nice and simple. So obviously we want to start with our slip knot on our hook. And you want to do your foundation chain in a multiple of 12. So obviously yarn over, pull through, 1, 2, 3, 4. So just a chain in a multiple of 12. So once you've completed your foundation chain in a multiple of 12, you want to add an additional 6 chains to the end of the chain you've already done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is your foundation chain. So for the entirety of this project, we are going to be using treble crochet. So please remember, I'm working in UK terms here, so it is UK treble. In the US, this is your double crochet. So it's the exact same stitch. We're also going to be using chains, so it's trebles and chains for the whole of the project. So first of all, we want to find our 9th chain back from our hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is our 9th chain, and we're going to do a UK treble into that chain. So yarn over, insert into that chain, yarn over and pull up. You might be a little bit twisted, but you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And what that will give us is the first part of one of our squares. So we've all the chains that we've just skipped will create the bottom, the side and the top of this first half of that square. You're then going to chain 2 and skip 2 chains on the bottom foundation chain, and then you're going to work 1 treble into the next 7 stitches. So skip 2 and then treble into the 3rd. So yarn over and insert, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you can see there now that has given us the first part of one of our little squares. So that is 1 treble. Like I say, we wanted 1 into the next 7 stitches, so we've done 1, so now we need 6 more. So treble into the next 6 chains. So that's our 7 trebles. You're then going to chain 2 and skip the next 2 chains and work a treble into the 3rd. And then again, chain 2, skip 2 chains, and then again you're going to treble 1 into the next 7 chains. So 1, 2, 'and then again chain 2, and you're going to work that all the way along. So you'll chain 2, skip 2 chains and treble, chain 2, skip 2 chains, and then 1 treble into the next 7 chains. And if you carry that on, and I will meet you as you get towards the end of your chain. So when you get towards the other end, you should be finishing your chain with 1 treble into the final 7 chains. So my 7th treble goes into that very last chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So at this point you should be looking something like this. So now you're going to turn your work. Now this part is up to you. You can either chain 2 to count as your first treble, or you can create a standing stitch, which is what I'm going to be doing, which just is that little bit fatter and leaves less spaces. So I'm going to insert my hook into that very first stitch, yarn over and pull up, and yarn over, pull through both. And then I've got 2 vertical sections to that stitch. I'm going to be going behind the one nearest the working end, yarn over and pull up again, yarn over, pull through both. And that just gives a treble height stitch, but without the gapping that you'd get with a chain. So that counts as our treble for this treble. So then we've got 6 more trebles here to work into. So 1 treble into the top of each of those trebles. So go through the whole of the stitch. And 7. So now we're going to create the other half of this space. So you're going to chain 2 and treble into the top of the treble from the row below. So again, go through the whole of the stitch, chain 2, and then skip across the space and start your 7 trebles. 1, 2, 3, 7. Okay, so that is how we look at the moment. Again, you'll chain 2, treble into the top of that middle treble, chain 2, skip the next space and your next 7 trebles. So you're going to continue that all the way along your row, and then I will meet you as you get to the other end in just a second. So when you get to the other end, you will have that first part of the row that we did. So you'll do the exact same thing, chain 2, treble into the treble, chain 2, and then obviously this one is slightly different to the rest you'll do because we're working into those skipped chains. So you'll skip 2 chains and then you'll put your final treble into that 3rd chain. So that is how you should be looking after that row. Again, now you're going to turn, and this is where we chop things up and we change it. So again, you can chain 2 or you can do your standing treble. It's totally up to you. And now we're going to be swapping, so we're going to be putting our 7 stitches here and our gaps here. So we've got our treble for our first treble, which is this one here, and then into that chain 2 space you'll put 2 trebles. 1, 2. You'll put a treble into the top of the middle treble, and then 2 more trebles into the next chain space, 1 and 2, so that's 6 trebles we've got now, and then your 7th treble will go into the very first treble of that bunch. So that is now your 7 trebles. So we've swapped from the gaps to the solid. So now you're going to chain 2, skip 2 trebles and treble into that 3rd stitch along. Chain 2, skip 2 trebles and treble into that last stitch. So that is going to count as our first stitch of the 7. So then 2 trebles into the chain 2 space, one into the top of that middle treble, 2 trebles in the next chain 2 space, 1, 2, and then your 7th treble goes into the first treble of the next bunch, and then you're ready again to chain 2, skip 2 stitches and treble in the 3rd, chain 2, skip 2, and again treble in that final treble from the bunch below. So again, now you should be able to work that all the way along, and I will meet you as you get to the end of your row. So at the end of your row you will do your chain 2, skip 2 stitches, treble, and then you'll have 3 stitches left, so you'll skip the first 2 and then your final treble will go into that 3rd and final stitch. So there we are after that row. So now we're going to create the other half of that pattern. So you're going to turn, do your first stitch, whether you're doing a chain 2 or a standing stitch, it's totally up to you. Okay, so we've done our treble, so now you're going to chain 2 and treble into the top of the treble from the row below to create the other half of that. It's almost like a window, I suppose. So chain 2 and treble into the top of that first set of your trebles. So that is the first of your 7, so then obviously 1 treble into the top of each stitch along. And 7. Again, chain 2, treble into the top of that middle treble, chain 2, and then again 7 trebles. So now you'll be able to work that all the way along, and I will meet you again at the end of the row to finish off this row. So you should be finishing with your 7 trebles. 2, 3, 4, 6, and then your 7th and final treble. So there now you have got, technically you've got the 4 rows of the pattern, but obviously that very first row was done into the foundation chain, so I will be doing that next row with you now properly, because obviously it's different from the foundation row that we did, but it will be the last row of the pattern repeat. So you'll turn and do your treble height stitch again, however you prefer. And we're switching back now, so you've got your 2 rows with your spaces, and then you've got your 2 rows with your 7 trebles, so we're switching back again. So we've got our treble height stitch, we're going to chain 2, skip 2 stitches and treble into the 3rd, chain 2, skip 2 and treble into that final treble. And that's going to count as the first of our 7 treble blocks. So now we're going to do 2 trebles in the chain 2 space, 1 treble into the top of the treble, and 2 trebles in the chain 2 space, and then the final of the 7 trebles goes into that first stitch. Chain 2, skip 2 and treble. Chain 2, skip 2 and treble. So you'll work that again all the way along, and I will meet you one final time at the end of this row. So you'll be finishing with your block of 7 trebles, so you'll have your 2 trebles in that chain 2 space, and then your final treble will go into the top of that last treble from the row below. And there you have your full repeat now. So you may need to rewind the video and go back to the row here and watch it back across. But after that you should be able to work up the rest of this pattern until it is as large as you need it to be, and you will end up with something that looks like this. So like I say, if you did it in a chunky yarn it would work, if you did it in DK yarn also would work. You can use whatever you like and it would just give a nice effect for any of your projects. So this, like I say, this blanket here has got a beautiful drape to it and I'm really happy with how this one turned out. But I really hope that you've enjoyed this basic filet crochet stitch, and I will see you for another video very soon. Bye for now.